The world teaches us that the cure to financial anxiety is more money, and I believed that lie. When I was broke and living in debt, I really believed that the only solution to all my problems was just getting more money. But even after paying off those student loans and reaching financial security when I was in my mid-20s, I still felt that financial anxiety. I felt out of control, hopeless, and stuck. It wasn't until that moment that I looked to God and asked him the question, what does the Bible really say about financial anxiety? And I learned that financial security is so much more than just our net worth. So today I'm going to share with you the biblical 3-step process to how to overcome your financial anxiety. But before we dive into it, I want to start with the question, why do we struggle with financial anxiety in the first place? Because, it's important for us to understand our problem before we try to solve it. And one of the biggest triggers for me in my own financial anxiety is the fear of the unknowns. When I was in debt, looking forward to the rest of my life, I thought about my wife and my kids and all the different things in my life that I just didn't know how God was going to be able to provide for in light of the debt that I had accrued. And even in this season of being debt-free, that financial anxiety hasn't left. I still have those same financial anxieties as I look to the future and think about how I'm going to take care of my kids and fund their education. How am I going to retire me and my wife? How am I going to take care of my bride as she really hopes to stay home with the kids? Another reason we struggle with financial anxiety is because we really want to be good stewards of the money that God has given us. I'm sure you can relate to the burden that I feel when I receive my income on a monthly basis and think, man, God, I really want to honor you with this income and be a good steward of what you've given me. But even deeper than all these things, one of the reasons why I know I struggle with financial anxiety is a feeling that I deserve financial struggle. I've made a lot of bad financial decisions in my life, whether it was going to a school I couldn't afford or just spending money frivolously on toys instead of on needs. When I was younger, I was selfish and I was impatient. Anytime I would get any money, I would immediately turn around to spend it on a new cymbal or a new drum for my drum kit. I've been enough of a fool with money that if I struggled the rest of my life with financial anxiety, it would feel well deserved. So whether you struggle with financial anxieties for the same reasons that I did, or because of some unrelated reason, the Bible says a lot about what we should do about this. So let's look into the biblical 3-step process to responding to our financial anxiety. And the first step is to reject the lies. There are lots of lies that might cause us to struggle with financial anxiety, but on the top of that list is certainly the lie that more money will solve all of our problems. Whether you're in debt and you're just trying to reach that $0 net worth mark, or maybe you have $0 and you're trying to reach that $100,000 net worth mark, or maybe you're aspiring for that notorious $1 million net worth goal. Financial anxiety is not cured by more money. The second you reach whatever financial goals you've set for yourself, your brain is going to immediately realize that this isn't the nirvana that your brain chalked it up to be, and it's going to create another goal, forcing you to continue on the treadmill of believing the lie that more money is the solution to financial anxiety. This lie is particularly convincing to those who are trying to pay off debt. I was told that when I pay off debt, everything is going to change, that the grass is going to feel greener or the air is going to smell purer. And let me just say that paying off debt is an amazing achievement. I praise God for weeks and months thanking Him for the ways that He allowed me to do this. But it just didn't take that long for my brain to reset and convince myself that, no, what would really make things better is if you hit that $100,000 net worth goal. The truth is that whether we learn this through the wisdom of others or have to experience it ourselves, Ecclesiastes 5:10 teaches us clearly that he who loves money will not be satisfied by money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity. When we attribute the joys of heaven with achieving some sort of net worth, that pursuit is vanity. So the first biblical step in curing our anxiety is to reject the lie. The second step is to seek contentment. It's hard to get a baby to stop playing with something that they shouldn't until you give them a toy that they can play with. In the same way, instead of staking our financial security on achieving some sort of net worth, we need to shift our focus and attention onto something else: contentment. And to that, I'll share with you a principle that really helped me. And that was that contentment isn't a number, it's a choice. Contentment can't be earned. And as long as we think that it is by achieving some sort of net worth, we'll find it continually evading us. But once we stop and actually look at what the Bible says about contentment, we realize that it's actually achievable in every single stage of our financial growth that we go through. What the Bible teaches us about contentment is that it can be experienced in every single stage of our financial plan. And this is where I have to say that contentment doesn't mean that we don't have goals. I've heard so many Christians talk about financial planning as if it's opposed to being content. Like, in order to have one, you can't have the other. But there's a big difference between making financial goals from contentment and making financial goals for contentment. Making financial goals from contentment means that I'm content where I'm at, but I also have aspirations and wants for my future. Making financial goals for contentment means that I'm believing the lie that if I reach a certain number, I'll be content. Me and my wife live in a 1-bed, 1-bath apartment, and we really want to buy a house one day. We drive 15-year-old beater cars, and we really would like to get to a point where we can drive newer vehicles. So we have goals, but we've also learned to be completely content in the season of life exactly where God has us. Our small rental condo has its quirks, but we've learned to love it. Our old cars have some weird quirks. We're glad they're still running. If you're liking this content, I ask that you like and subscribe so I can keep making videos just like this one. The third step to overcoming financial anxiety is prayer. Philippians 3 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus." God cares about your money. He cares about your financial security. And when you lift up your requests and make them known to Him, He promises to listen. That doesn't guarantee that you'll be a multimillionaire one day, but as we create goals, we have a loving God who's going to walk beside us as we try to achieve them. The other cheat code to financial anxiety that Philippians chapter 3 brings up is thankfulness. And sometimes when I'm struggling with financial anxiety, one of the greatest cures is just sitting down and being thankful to the Lord through prayer for the things that He's done in my life already. I hope you're asking yourself the question, am I content in the season that God has me in? And one of the easiest ways for us to audit our contentment is by looking at our credit card statements. When we're discontent, often it shows up in the things that we're buying. And if you want to know what the Bible actually says about our purchases on credit cards, click here and I'll see you there.